Good afternoon and welcome to the Human Services and Criminal Justice Professors Chat today. I'm Laura Laporte from the Admissions Office here at Fulton-Montgomery Community College, and it's our pleasure to present you with this Professor Chat. Today we're going to be discussing our Chemical Abuse Counseling Program, our Human Services Program, as well as our Criminal Justice Programs. Let me introduce you to our professors. First, we have Julie Lynn, Instructor for Human Services, and John Armstrong, Assistant Professor for Criminal Justice. Before I hand it off to the professors to begin their talk, I just want to mention to the audience that your questions are welcome. And the way in which you would ask a question is to use the chat function. Just type in your question, and as the professors pause during their presentation, I'll read your questions aloud to get your answer. And with that, I'm going to hand the presentation over to Julie to get started. Hi, Julie.
Okay. Hi, thank you. So just going to start by telling you a little bit about myself and then a little bit about some of the programs that I help with at FM. Oh, I forgot to, hold on. Sorry. Okay, sorry. So I came to FM as a full-time instructor in the fall of 2016. And since that time, I've been teaching all the human service classes. And then during that time, we actually started the chemical abuse counseling program. So I stay pretty busy teaching all those classes for those 3 programs. Before I came to FM, I was working at an agency in Schenectady called Northeast Parent and Child Society. And I worked there for 12 years. I worked as a mental health clinician, and then I became the director of a foster care program at Northeast. So I learned a lot, and I use a lot of the experiences that I have had in the field in the classroom. And I try to relate a lot of the content that what I'm teaching to experiences that I've had. You know, I had the opportunity when I was in a leadership position to hire staff. So I always tell my students, I know what makes really good human service staff, and I know what kinds of challenges you have also in the field, because I've helped people through some of those challenges. So that's a little bit about me. I do have my master's degree in social work. So my background is in social work, and I teach, you know, some from that background, as well as I try to incorporate parts of psychology as well as the chemical abuse counseling fields as well. So we have the 3 programs I'm going to talk about. We have the Human Service AS, and we have the Human Service AAS and Chemical Abuse Counseling AAS program. So the AS program is meant to be the first 2 years of a 4-year degree. So it's a great option for somebody that wants to come to a community college and get a lot of their gen eds out of the way, or all of their gen eds out of the way, as well as starting to learn about the field of human services. So I have students that go on from FM that go to SUNY Albany or SUNY Binghamton, St. Rose, and they find that they're very successful when they start their 3rd year at those colleges and universities. So I'm proud of that. And they come back and talk to me about their experiences, and they feel like they were very prepared. So I think that's it's a very good start. We have small classes at FM, and you get a lot of attention, you know, from your professors. So it's a great place to start that degree. And then the 2 AAS degrees are meant to be career degrees, so that you could take, you know, 2 years in college, and then you could go on and work in the field. So those programs are good because you end your time at FM in an internship. So that's can be really helpful for students, because a lot of those internships actually end up as jobs for people. I feel like maybe I lost you. Can you guys hear me? Oh.
Absolutely. Yes, we can hear you, Julie. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So
You're fine. You're doing great.
Okay. My screen changed a little bit. I don't know what I did.
No problem. Nope.
Okay.
You're coming through perfect.
Thank you. So you would be able to then go out and work in the field. So those fields are human services. So that would be someone that might work at Catholic Charities. We have students that end up getting jobs at Catholic Charities in their domestic violence program, or at one of their community residences. Some students will end up working at Lexington or Liberty. we have a lot of students that end up in the chemical abuse counseling field, and those students end up at St. Mary's or the Recovery Center or some of the other projects that we have in our community supporting people with addiction issues. Another great internship we had this last semester was at Planned Parenthood. So that just gives you a sense of kind of where people would end up and what those internships look like. One of the things that is important to know is if you're not really sure, if you feel like you want to be in one of these areas, but you're not really sure which is the right one for you, the first semester would be, it pretty much mirrors, it's mirrored in all three of the programs. So you would take a class called Introduction to Helping Professions, which is HUS 100, and that would give you an overview of all the places that you can work in the field of helping or human services. So we talk about working in education with the people with developmental disabilities, with criminal justice, juvenile delinquency. We talk about mental health, services to families, working with people that, who are in poverty, and it gives you a nice overview into the field. So that's a great class to take if you're thinking about maybe this might be the right field for you. And then the other one that you would take your first semester is HUS 120, which is Foundations of Chemical Abuse Counseling. So that gives you a really good overview into that field. So we talk about the role of the chemical abuse counselor. We talk about the field and what we would expect in a job, and it gives students a really nice overview to get a sense of what that is like. I bring in a lot of guests in that class, people that work in our community, so that you get to know people. So one thing I would say in all the classes that I teach at FM, I do try to do a lot of applied learning or service learning. So students have an opportunity to get out into the field, meet people that are providing human services and chemical abuse counseling in our community, to really see and get some hands-on. I think we learn obviously by reading and listening to lectures, but I think a lot of us learn better hands-on and really learning by doing. So I try to encourage that. And we do that in the community, but we also do that in the classroom. We share about our own experiences. I share about my work experience, and we look at cases in class. And I just do a lot of teaching from examples and from practice. And I find that the students really get involved in that and engaged. So that's the big things I kind of wanted to talk about, the programs and the classes. I think, the job outlook for these fields is very good. There's always going to be a need for people that work in human services, and it's pretty obvious right now we are in a crisis as far as people, getting engaged in addiction issues and with addiction, services being needed. So I can only say that when I speak to people that are hiring, they're always looking for new staff. And they're eager to take interns because they know usually those internships do turn into jobs. If they have an opening and they like the intern, they always have been offered a job. So that is a real strong possibility that you would just be able to move right into something. I think for working in these fields, the main things I would say when I used to hire human service professionals, I used to always look for somebody that's flexible. There's no 2 days that are going to be the same in this work. You might come in with all kinds of expectations about getting paperwork done or contacting all these different people, and a client has a crisis and you have to drop what you're doing and get out there and help them. So you need to be flexible. You need to be comfortable juggling a lot of different, balls in the air and being busy. And you absolutely have to have empathy and understanding. So sometimes the people that we work with in this field are not appreciative, and they're not, telling you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And you just have to do it because it's something you want to be able to give to humanity and other people. That has to be a real desire that you have. So those would be the big things that I would encourage you to think about. If you feel like you have those qualities and those characteristics, that this could be a great field for you.
Julie, we do have a question. Could you talk a little bit about the chemical abuse counseling program is one of our newer programs. And what's unique about it is it does lead to the credentialing of the CASAC credential. Mm-hmm. Could you talk a little bit about that and why that in particular in New York State is such a big deal for graduates?
Yeah, thank you, Laura. That's a really good question. So when you graduate from FM with your degree in chemical abuse counseling, you will then receive a training certificate from the college that you would be able to submit to OASIS. OASIS is the Office of Substance Abuse Services and Supports for New York State. So you would be able to submit that 350-hour training certificate, and you would be able to become a CASAC-T, which is a Credentialed Alcohol and Substance Abuse Counselor trainee. And then what you would need to do is take a test and pass that, and then get hours of work experience, and you would be able to become a CASAC. So in order to work in the field of chemical abuse counseling, you need to have the CASAC-T or the CASAC. So agencies are not going to hire people into those jobs without that credential. So it's basically necessary to do that work in this field. So it's good that you can actually obtain that right along with your associate's degree.
Great. And we do have another question. If a student were to start maybe down the human services track, and then because of maybe some of the crossover of coursework, they kind of maybe liked the chemical abuse counseling, or vice versa, starting chemical abuse counseling, is there a way, like the first semester or so, to be able to move between those two programs without losing too much credit? And because certainly not everybody knows exactly what they want to do,
Yeah,
you know, when they get started. So could you comment on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the first semester of all three of these programs is the same. So it would be no problem. And that's one of the reasons we have those two classes that I spoke about, the Intro to Helping and the Foundations of Chemical Abuse Counseling. We have those right in the beginning for all three of the programs. And that way students can really explore those fields. That's really what that's, meant to do, is allow students to, kind of better understand which of these is going to be the right spot for them. I've had a lot of students that have done that. A lot of students that, to be honest, thought they wanted to get an associate's degree and realized that they really wanted to go on and get, a bachelor's degree or even a master's degree in one of these fields. And so they switch into that human service AS. I think after that first semester, a lot of students get confidence that they can do college. And they really gain a lot of good skills. So I like to see that. But yeah, there's a lot of overlap. The only thing I would say is with the chemical abuse counseling AAS, in order to get that CASAC, you have to take these certain 8 classes. So it is pretty tight. That program is pretty tight. So by the time you're moving into your second semester, you need to have made a decision if you want to get into that program, because it would be hard to fit everything in within just 2 semesters. It's possible. Students have done it, but it could potentially be difficult.
Great. And the last question is, have you had any success with your students getting into local employers? Are there jobs locally
Yeah,
for,
absolutely.
that's the question, yeah.
Absolutely. I have a lot of employers that actually reach out to me, in March and April, and let me know about, opportunities for hiring. And I know I've had, even this semester, even amidst, this current COVID-19 crisis, I have had a lot of students doing interviews and getting offered jobs. A lot of the internships, like I said, do lead to job offers, and some of this, I tell the students, that's such a great opportunity for you to have your, your feet in there and your hands on the work, because you're going to know if this is really the right fit for you, and that supervisor is going to know if you're the right fit for that job. And most semesters, this semester is a little different than normal just because what happened toward the end, but most semesters all of my internship students get offered jobs at their internship sites, and some of them take them and some of them don't, but we have a lot of really great employers in our community in human services and chemical abuse counseling. I've been very happy to be welcomed into this community. I've been here, this is going to be my 5th year, and I've just found that they understand the value of what we're doing at FM and how we're educating students. They're very involved in how we've designed and built the program. So they know if students graduate from FM, they know they're going to have a certain, quality of skills, and they're eager to get their hands on those students.
Awesome. Very good. Well, that's the last question. So I'm going to transition now to the criminal justice part of our conversation. And John, could you tell us a little bit about the two criminal justice degrees we have at FM?
Yeah, sure, sure. Julie, that was a great job. I enjoyed listening to it, and actually a lot of analogies we can draw between the programs. They're people programs. We have two courses of study. One is an AAS, an Applied Associate in Science and Criminal Justice, and an Associate in Science. And those two degrees have two different purposes, although we've noticed there's been a bit of a merging of those who came in under the AAS, that Applied Associate, really getting the fire in their belly to go on with further education. And it's really been very, very ingratiating to me to feel so many have done so well that they've enjoyed the experience and they see the career opportunities ahead of them. So the two degrees are actually intended for two separate but aligned purposes. And as Julie had mentioned, you could actually shift over between your two degree programs, especially through the first year. Very in terms of the two programs as they begin. The AAS would give you what you would need to take the examinations for most agencies that require 60 college credits. So if you're looking to get out into the field, looking at a 2-year college experience, that would be the degree you would focus on. If you're looking at knowing pretty much that you haven't decided on a particular role, but you know that criminal justice is your calling and you plan to go forward for a 4-year degree, the Associate in Science would be the program, and that would lead you toward a 4-year degree of study. And many of our agreements, I'll talk a little bit about those. I come sort of uniquely to FM. I worked an entire career, 27 years in Connecticut, as a corrections professional. I started as a correction officer and I left as the director of the agency 27 years later. So some of the things I bring in are, one of the things is the practical experience of the field, and of course the educational background to be both a practitioner and an academic. So you'll hear me use the term, I'm a pracademic. I started my education much like you probably will start yours, with a 2-year degree in mind. So I got an associate degree in law enforcement. I liked it. I enjoyed schooling more than I thought it was ever going to be possible. I found a connection with the study, the professors, the experience, the internships, all those things that started to bring me into the interest. I went on to a bachelor's in criminal justice administration, and later on yet a master's degree. My master's and other degrees are through the University of New Haven. Very, very good criminal justice school. Just a little bit about my background in the Department of Correction. Held a lot of different positions. I told you I started as a correction officer, worked as a counselor, a senior counselor. I was an investigator, did internal affairs investigations and major incidents that occur in correctional facilities, correctional grounds, or with parolees and the like. Was also a captain, a major, assistant deputy commissioner, and ultimately retired as the commissioner after 2 terms in office. Worked a little bit in the international area of criminal justice. I was a subject matter expert and advisor to the Coalition Provisional Authority in Iraq. Did that for a year. Then I came back in, worked in a federal program referred to as the Office of Law Enforcement Technology Commercialization. And that was where your mission was to basically deploy all the new technologies into the law enforcement and corrections community. Great experience, fun job, a lot of travel, which is one of the reasons it sort of brought me here. Had the opportunity to come here and teach. Began in 2007, and I've been here ever since. I've always enjoyed teaching, did it throughout my criminal justice side of my career. I taught in the state community colleges, I taught at my alma mater, and I taught in graduate schools at the state college as well. I did mention one thing earlier on that I wanted to talk a little bit about. Certainly, what would it be that you would want to have for your skills? And I think that's one of the things I always tell people. criminal justice is such a big field, broad field, that you can work in police, courts, corrections, community services, uh, probation, parole. And as you begin, you start to learn about all the opportunities. But one of the things I think is important is that you understand a little bit about what you should want to basically have for skills in the field. And we're going to try to do that through what we have for learning objectives, is help you know what you have to have for knowledge of the system, knowledge of the social science. The practical application of the social sciences is so much of what it is you'll do. But it's not really what you'll see on TV and the like. I have an article, if you enjoy reading it, we'll forward it out to you, that was pretty much written on criminal justice and your opportunity for the future, how different it is, but how satisfying and gratifying the career field is. No matter what you pick, you look forward to going to work every day. You'd be surprised how fast 20 years goes by. But it's not brute force. It's not weapons proficiency. Basically what it is job knowledge, attention to detail, critical thinking, being calm, being patient, having good communication skills, being able to talk to people, but being able to listen to people. Strong sense of ethics, values, the difference between right and wrong. Being professional, respectful, giving people dignity in difficult situations and circumstances, whether they're the offender, the victim, a member of the general public. Always having empathy, common sense, and courage. You're going to need a lot of courage to do these jobs. And it's not courage in the face of fire so much as it is doing the right thing, as difficult as it might be. You like to help other people. You like a career that you look forward to going to work. These are the types of jobs that you would like to do. I did get some statistics for you just for employment prospects. They're very strong. If you want to work in the field, tremendous amount of opportunities. They're going to be hiring into the distant future at a rate that would impress you. So you're a qualified individual. You will be in a good position to be hired. I use the salary of a police officer. The average salary, May 2016, controlled for inflation to today's number, is $67,780 a year. That's pretty consistent with the state correction officers' salaries, and a little different for probation, parole. It's actually a bit higher because the degree requirements are a bit more strenuous for those. Just as a word of advice, if you're going into the field, you can get into the field with minimal qualifications, but just to know those people with associate degrees have better employment prospects overall. They're better off than those who come in with less, and they're certainly better off because they're qualified for more opportunities to work themselves up through training and other experience. The best jobs in the field, where you have the better work schedules and the like, will probably occur with a bachelor's degree or better. And some of those are with the federal agencies where that's pretty much their minimum standard. And with each of these, the pay as well as the retirement benefits gets better and better. Our graduates do really well. Julie made a nice reference to where you'll find her employees. I can tell you where you'll find ours from the region. You'll find them in every single police department in this region. All the locals, I'm very impressed with Amsterdam, Gloversville, Johnstown. They all have our graduates. Amsterdam's chief came through FM. I'm very impressed by the numbers when we have opportunities for Coffee with a Cop Day and the like. They send all their employees who have a degree down here, and we fill the room with Amsterdam. We also have employees going on the federal government, Border Patrol, Transportation Security Administration, all the different locations that you would want to work in, Homeland Security. So it takes time to work your way through, takes some perseverance, takes an application of what you learned here to get your foot both in the door and get your leg up inside the organization. Couple things that came up too was transfers. If you want to transfer, one of the nice things about the criminal justice program and all our programs here is that we have articulation agreements. You have seamless transfer opportunity to our most popular destinations. Albany, Siena, Sage College, St. Rose, Plattsburgh, Oswego. Those are the in-state. John Jay is a new one we just got this past year. Buffalo University and Buffalo State College. We also have out-of-state contacts and locations, Eastern Kentucky State University and Sam Houston State in Texas. One of the things I think is nice, in addition to being able to plan for where you want to go to your four-year school, is to take advantage of some of the career pathways that we have in addition to that with this new program of micro-credentialing. I know Julie's doing a little of that in her program as well. We have 10 areas in the criminal justice program for you to concentrate studies if you decide you want to explore, or you want to work toward a four-year degree in the area, or you want to take that credential to an employer once you're ready to go to work. Correctional services, victim studies, sociology of crime, youth offenders, law enforcement, judicial process, psychology of criminal behavior, homeland security, private sector security, American policing. I have one more coming out in the fall. It's an interdisciplinary study, which is criminalistics. It is part of a forensic science, which is taught by the science department in conjunction with criminal justice, and crime scene investigation is a secondary required course on that, which is taught by a 24-year New York State forensic investigator. So it's awesome courses in and of themselves, get you a credential that can be displayed as you go out there to the field. I'm going to try to sew it up with internships at this point. We do internships with every agency. One of the nice parts about having a program, and Julie does the same thing as we do, we have an advisory board, which is made up of our major employers. So as I mentioned, we do internships with police departments. We have good hiring. They see the return that they get by participating on the advisory board. They help us with our content. They helped us with those micro-credentials, the skill sets they would like to see their future employees bringing forward to their agency. So we have internship opportunities in every local police department, every local sheriff's department. With the courts, we have them in the prosecutor's office as well as the public defender's office. The corrections, we do them in the county jail facilities. We do them at New York State Department of Correction. We do them locally here at Hale Creek. We do county probation, and we've done state parole as well. It's not all inclusive. We've done them in different agencies as well, sometimes with special circumstances. But the opportunities are endless. FM, is a great place to decide where you want to head. If you're thinking criminal justice or human services, it will help you get your head on straight to find a direction that'll be good for you.
That's great, John. I do have a question. I have a student says, I'm interested in becoming a state trooper. Mm-hmm. Is this a good degree for me to get started in that path?
Yes. Yes, I would say yes for two reasons. One is a lot of the content when you get to the training academy, you will have covered here. You'll understand probable cause, legal systems. You'll understand criminal law as well as procedural law. But the biggest piece they're looking for is you to have the aptitude of a college education. They want you to know how to read, comprehend, and communicate in writing. The who, what, when, where, how, and why has to come across quickly and cleanly. They've got a very short window of time to assess you at the academy. As much as you'll feel it's endless when you're there, it's a very rigorous academy, top shelf. That's why we have such a great state police agency here in New York. They put a lot of pressure on you to be successful because your success there keeps you safe and the community safe once you're an independent trooper on the highway or on any assignment you may have. You can't have 60 college credits, but if you assemble it in an area of your interest, you're going to find that you're going to do better. And all of our students who have gone to the state police felt very comfortable that they weren't struggling with understanding elements of probable cause, elements of a criminal offense for charging, those types of things. So again, do something that serves you well, that holds your interest is my recommendation.
Great. Another question is, I've heard that the FBI is looking for new recruits. Would the criminal justice program help me to get into federal law enforcement?
Mm-hmm. Yes. A couple of things with the FBI always has specialties. They're looking for people that speak different languages, Farsi, for example. Sometimes people who speak Mandarin. They always require college education and or a combination of experience with military, et cetera. This is pretty much your basic beginning portion of your experience for that. They're generally going to look for a college degree with the specialty experience, meaning not just 2-year, but a 4-year degree.
Mhm.
But it will get there.
John, you bring up a good point. Individuals may be coming out of the military and would like to move in the criminal justice. Would it enhance their military resume to have a degree in criminal justice? Would that strengthen their position in the workplace? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I was the hiring authority when I worked in corrections, and what I used to set out as the criterion. You still have to take civil service examinations. That's why my examinations will resemble that. When you take an exam, it'll be a multiple choice exam. Sometimes you get short answer essay. But pretty much to be successful in that field, you need to have an understanding of how that all sort of fits together. So bring me back to where you were heading with that. I just want to.
Well, I'm thinking about people who may be coming out of the military that they're.
Yeah. So one of the things that I think is good, an ideal candidate, the way I'd set it out, would be a candidate that had 2 years full-time employment, 2 years in the military, and 2 years of education. That would be the ideal candidate to enter into the agency. So if you have just the military, of course, the education is going to help. You have just the education and you really are committed to doing the military, you'll be a great candidate. So again, I would say that both, more better. The greater your resume is, the more powerful it is, the greater the span of opportunity you have.
Great. Well, that finalizes the questions. Do either one of you want to add anything or anything maybe that we didn't touch upon that you'd like to address before we end the chat? Anything?
I don't think so. I mean, I think John and I are both available if students have questions. Sometimes it's nice to have a contact. So I'm certainly available if students want to email, they can find my email address on the website.
And of course, the admissions team can always refer anyone to professors as well. We can make those connections too. So no worries there. Well, with that, I guess we're going to conclude the chat. I would like to thank both of you for the fantastic information that you shared, really giving our audience a nice insight into each of the programs. And thank you so much for doing that. And for the audience, if you're interested in criminal justice, human services, chemical abuse counseling, we'd love to hear from you. And in fact, if maybe you're not really sure what program would be right for you, the admissions team is really easy to access by going to our website, and that website is fmcc.edu. We're currently not on campus, but we do have a virtual admissions page that will allow you to set up an appointment, and that appointment can be either a phone call, it could be a Zoom call, like we're using Zoom right now. We can converse through email, text message, whatever you prefer. We'd love to hear from you and hear about what your career goals are and explain to you how FM can help you achieve those goals. Maybe you're already ready to apply, and I do want to mention that we have a free application for admission on our website. Again, that's fmcc.edu. And to be accepted to the college, you simply need to send us your high school transcript, or if you've earned a high school equivalency diploma, formerly known as a GED, get that to us. We will match that up to your application and walk you through the next steps and get you registered for the fall semester. We are currently registering students for the fall, and we'd love to help you achieve that. So with that, I'm going to thank everyone again for your attention today, and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.